We're back for more of Season 5. Welcome to Plathville. In this episode, she's about to talk more and more about this dude she's dating. So let's see what she says. So she's talking to her social worker friend. The friend says this.
But I am happy for you, Kim. It's a new life. It's a new journey. You're not nervous at all?
No, of course I am. I'm terrified. I mean, I'm thinking through things like,
I was saying how true it is when you don't know someone's history that well and you just don't know really what they've done to someone else. It's easier to be happy for them. When you know a person's history, you know what they've done for them, it's more difficult. It's just more difficult. I do prison ministry, and you get to love on the guys, you get to know their story, and they've given their life to Jesus, and they're different, and they're changed. So it's easier to be excited for them when they have good news about getting out and so forth. But I often always think, too, I wonder what their victims' families think. Are they just as happy as the rest of us and giving high fives and hugs because God's done something great in their life? And that doesn't mean they're right and I'm wrong or vice versa. I'm just saying it's a lot easier. So here's a woman who doesn't know anything she's done to her family or her kids or whatnot or what she's put them through. But she's, I'm happy for you. That is, I'm glad you're happy. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Sometimes ignorance is.
I feel like it's time for me to kind of talk to the children and let them know that I'm seeing somebody, you know.
You ready for that?
Honestly, I don't know.
I haven't told the children yet.
I know some people wait until they know they're going to marry the person to introduce them to their children. I know some people introduce, you know, right away, but this is all new to me. I'm trying to figure it out, so I don't know. It just feels like now is a good time.
I didn't do it with my kids until I got, you know, absolutely sure, like, hey, he's going to be spending the night,
Yeah.
you know, he's going to be in your life, and that's when I decided to make the decision
Yeah.
to tell him. But you know your kids better than me.
I'm not saying that we're getting married or this is it or anything like that, but he is a part of my life now. And I guess it's serious enough that I want to tell the children.
How do you think they're going to react? I mean,
Well, the thing is, they already know him.
Yeah, so when it comes, I do this a good bit in my counseling too, when people divorce, and then you have co-parenting, and then the parents, they want to co-parent together, but they end up dating other people. And then is it too soon, not soon enough, all that. My view is that you can have friends. So she can have a guy friend and say, this is my guy friend. I mean, this is post-divorce. The kids, she's done not a good job helping the kids process the pain and woundedness they're going through. This has already not been a good job enough done for them. But even when it is the case, they're never going to like it. They're never going to feel comfortable. I shouldn't say never. At first, they're not going to at all. They're not going to be comfortable with it whatsoever. And so there has to be some conversation at some point to say, I know that can be awkward for you. I get it. But as a Christian, I would say, of course, we're not having sex or doing anything sexual whatsoever because we're not married. But there are guys I'm going to hang out with and go on dates sometimes with. And that's, I know, and I imagine for you it's awkward. And I'm happy to hear your feelings about that. But I would not wait until the bitter end. All of a sudden, this is the guy. And as this woman said, he's going to be sleeping over. So as a Christian would say, no, you're not married yet. But if the person's that serious to get married, again, you're dropping a big bomb. All of a sudden, here's a new dude and I'm about to have a brand new stepdad. I wouldn't do that to kids. I let them ease into it, and so that a person, they can talk about it. How's it going with you and Bob? Oh, it's going really well, actually. Yeah, I've been dating now for 3 or 4 months. It's going really well. Y'all talking about marriage? Well, we're considering. We never know. And they're long. It helps them adjust through it. But there's never going to be a time for certain kids to like it. Some are okay with it right off the bat, depending on the nature of the divorce and how bad the marriage was. But otherwise, there's going to be an adjustment period. I know it can be very difficult to know exactly how to understand what Jesus taught, and so I wrote this book to help you. ReDiscover Jesus, I think, is a fantastic, accessible source to help you understand the teachings of Jesus within a historical context. What did he mean when he said those things? What are the main things Jesus taught? Secondly, how do I apply it to today? This book will help you do both. It will help you understand what Jesus said to his first century Jewish audience and how to bridge the gap between then and now. This is a fantastic book for small groups or individual studies. It's in paperback, Kindle version, and an audiobook recorded by yours truly. If you would like bulk orders of this for many people, let me know and I'll give you a special discount. Go right now to Amazon.com, get your copy today of ReDiscover Jesus. Well, in this next clip, it's called, Does Olivia Regret Marrying Ethan? And here, Olivia is talking with her sister and about Ethan, and it's amazing to hear this dialogue of what the sister says. Here we go.
What if you meet somebody and you were a different person when you met them, but you've completely changed and you're kind of going in opposite directions, but you're together with them.
Yeah, I don't know. That works for some people.
But does it though? Does it actually work, or do they make it work?
What conceivable difference does that make? This is why you don't take advice from children. Certainly people don't understand what commitment means. But you can see, obviously, the sister lady's getting agitated. She's twirling her head around and showing signs. It's like when a cat flips their tail down. They have clear signs. And she's like, well, we're two different people. In other words, break it up, break it up.
I've changed a lot since I got married, and I think that's okay. I have doubts sometimes, but I also think that I'm capable of being in a relationship with someone who believes different than me. I think that's something I ask Ethan all the time, is if he's capable of it.
When you and Ethan were getting married, did you ever think like, oh, I might have a regret that I got married to him?
It sounds terrible to say, yes, but to be honest, it was mostly because of his family.
If you have something on your mind that's like, I might regret this if I do this, then maybe you shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. That's where I am with like my life.
I have a fundamentally different understanding than the sister here. Just because you have a doubt doesn't mean you do it or don't do something. We're not animals, and every time an instinct or an impulse comes inside of us, we must act accordingly to what the impulse says. I mean, we don't. We have moral reasoning, and so we're supposed to pause and consider all of our options and consider what those intuitions tell us. From the Christian perspective, we do so from the teaching of Jesus. And so if it's sometimes have doubts, well, get divorced. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That's not what you do. You have to process and go, oh, yeah, I guess I don't. No one's ever sure 100% or whatever, and go on with life.
Do you think you'd be healthier by yourself or with Ethan?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's a really hard question. When I look back at the period of time that he and I were separated, I don't think of it as like independent or free or single or figuring life out on my own at all. I just remember like intense pain. But my mindset was, this is gonna have to work out. But I think I'm in a very different place in my life, and I think I would feel different today. Ethan is the one and only relationship I've ever been in, so I have nothing to compare it to. And the more I deconstruct all the beliefs around marriage that I was taught growing up, the more I feel kind of confused about what should I expect out of a relationship.
And that's very insightful and is very wise. And that's why we want to go back to figure out why we got married in the first place. Why did we get married in the first place? That's it. Not from what was I running away and so forth, but why did I get married? Did I make a covenant with God Almighty in marriage? If I did, then I have got to do everything conceivable to make this work and not follow my gut reactions and my intuition and you don't do that. That's not what you do in the Christian worldview. So I understand the pain that can cause, and that kind of deconstruction coming out of a tyrannical background can be very, very difficult. That's why you keep going to therapy and keep going to therapy. The tendency will be in these kind of environments when we try to heal is to in the South, we say throw the baby out with the bathwater. It becomes an all or nothing, and that's a cognitive distortion too. We don't want to do that. So healthy people, ideally, even when we're healing, is just try to take the breaks and say, hold on, before I get rid of everything, just because I feel anxiety and fear, let's wait, and one thing at a time. In this next episode, Kim tells Mariah and Lydia about her new boyfriend.
Wow. What have you girls been up to?
Well, I guess what's new with me, I'm dating someone.
Their face. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. That is pretty funny, though. She smiled like, aren't you happy for me? And their faces of disgust.
How's
Look at
that
the face of
going?
disgust.
Good.
And all of a sudden she gets real serious. Like,
I really like
I'm
him.
in trouble.
It went from my mom telling me, like,
They came to look at
maybe one day, a few years down the road, I might date someone, but I'm not ready for anything right now. And then next thing I know, she's been dating someone for a while. And I never really got a warning. I don't know. It's like she wants me to just, in one day, just hop on board, accept everything, and move on. Like, I don't think I can do that. That's too much to process.
There's no promises of the future or what things are going to look like down the road. I don't know. But it's been
That's exactly right. That's very wise of her. It just is. I don't know how you would ever trust a woman or a person like that who, marriage is about this and sticking in there, and then I don't feel it, I'm out of here. And then I will date years down the road, then I'm dating someone. That is, you're just a liar. Drinking alcohol, we don't do that here. Well, yeah, I will. We don't wear lipstick and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we will. We don't do sugar and blah, blah. Yes, I will. That is, you're just being a hypocrite and a liar all the time. That's damaging for a child. And they need time to process this. That's just why you don't break it all of a sudden. I've been dating for all this time. It sounds like a secret. It feels like you've been betrayed. You don't do that.
Just really nice to have someone to talk to, somebody fun to hang out with. He's been a really good friend through all of this.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel like this is very soon. It's a lot. I don't know if she, I think that personally, I think it would be good if she took more time. It can be really hard to be honest about how I feel, but that's one thing that I'm learning is so important. So, I do struggle with the fact that you're, dating, just because that's unfamiliar to me, I guess. Trying to convince myself that everything's okay, that I feel totally fine, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't support that.
Well, good for her for saying that. She has the right to say I don't support it. And of course, that's not what Kim wants. Kim wants her to support everything she does. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And that's unfortunate. But yeah, it's unfortunate. In this clip, Ethan doesn't want to have kids with Olivia. We're going to learn about why that is.
I think Olivia and I have a lot in common. I was raised in the church, and I was raised to value what the church says above all else. I fully understand where Olivia is coming from because I think there's so much pressure in Christian culture to fulfill what they see as being valuable. And I think for a lot of women that there's a pressure to just get married.
Yeah, I understand and know of people who have been through those experiences. What's frustrating to me is you just said big words like the church and what they want. And that stuff is frustrating because the church doesn't tell us above all else. What? Maybe Roman Catholics do and so forth because that's the church. But no, a normal average Protestant Christian will say what Jesus says. And so, right, why do we do that? Because he's the boss, he's the Lord. So it's not some domineering group think all the time. You have to be a part of a cult or some very, very strict fundamentalist cult-like sect of Christianity for that to be true. And then you've got to get married. Well, there are certain points, and I'm so sorry she thinks that's the church or that is Christianity, because that is not the church. That's not Christianity. Not at all. Jesus never, ever said marriage is better than being single, or singles being married to married, better than being married. He never said those things. So Jesus was not like his Jewish contemporaries. And so when Christians come along and say, you've got to get married, you've got to get married, you're not being like Jesus. They need to go read Matthew 19. And so, but if you knew that and you followed Jesus in the New Testament, you wouldn't blame, not you, but a person would leave the faith just because a person who says they represent Jesus doesn't. You would say, well, Jesus didn't say that. And he's the boss, not the church.
What was your promise to Ethan?
To love and obey and follow and, yeah.
I vow to keep open communication in our marriage, to never allow bitterness or offense to take root and come between us. I vow that I will listen to you, respect you, value your opinion as my own, and look to you as the leader in our home.
I don't know if she did those vows very well.
Which I don't believe in anymore.
Yeah.
I believe that I have equal, equality in the relationship. So when I ask myself questions about what do I want for my future, and somehow that feels inherently selfish to ask that because I'm in a relationship.
Sure. It's irrelevant what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely unhealthy. If you're in a marriage, it is. It's dysfunctional. When you're in a marriage and a spouse, man or woman, thinks that their opinion is irrelevant because the other person is gaslighting or discounting or vitiating. I don't mean they just feel like it's irrelevant, but it really is treated as irrelevant. That's extremely dysfunctional. That is not Christ-like. That's not Christian marriage. It's just not. It's just not. So that's just not. And so I'd be curious. That's when you need therapy. Is this what's really going on? Is he discounting everything she ever wants ever? I don't know. Secondly, I would say also, if her view is that the vows no longer matter because she lied, or she changed her mind, and the vows she made before God and to Ethan no longer matter, well, then she's already divorced him. I mean, that contract counts because you keep your word. You're not a liar or delusional, and you're making commitment for the rest of your life not to radically change those vows. Well, if you no longer believe those things, then you divorced him, and you need to tell him immediately and say, I'm not going to string you along. I reject those vows completely. I reject what I said to God and to you.
I always thought that marriage vows were the most important thing. And the more that I start to take that apart, I think the more that I realize that that's not the most important thing to me. The health and happiness of the two individuals is way more important than just some words.
Yeah, just some words. That's why I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. The covenant of marriage aren't just words. They're not in the Christian worldview. You don't show up extemporaneously and go, jibble jabble, dog, sun, cat, moon. And then he goes, kites and purple. Yeah, they're just words. No, you made a cut. You wrote them down, right? You composed your thoughts and you read them. So it means you no longer have any of those vows. And those are a big deal. You said, like, I'll be the listener. I'm not going to hold grudges in my heart or whatever it was in my heart. Those are good, healthy things. What they showed the clip, you didn't say, I'll follow you at all cost and lose myself, and I will embrace a dysfunctional one-sided relationship. If that's the case, yeah, you need to reject that. That was silly and not Christian. But nothing you said was unchristian, the vows that I heard.
I think like the biggest question that's come up lately is kids. Like, do we have kids or not?
Mm-hmm.
Coming from the world that I grew up in, I don't take having a kid lightly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm one of 10 kids. That was more than my parents could take care of.
Do you feel like Ethan sees it that way?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
He just like wants.
No, he actually doesn't want kids with me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. No, he wants kids, but not with me.
Oh, okay. That's hard.
I mean, his position is he doesn't want a kid that's like me. He doesn't want a kid that thinks what I think politically or socially.
Yeah, that's a really bad reason not to have kids, or not to have kids with a certain person. That I can't have a child grow up. He's just repeating what his mom did. I have to protect my child from thinking like you. Well, I understand that in certain areas, depending on what the thoughts are. So, for example, had he married a female Hitler, right, well, then I'd get divorced. I don't want them growing up as members of the KKK. I don't want them growing up murdering and lying and stealing and thinking it's okay to rape people. And if they're around you, they will learn those are horrible. But that's not what Ethan means. She's not a Republican, and she's not conservative and so forth, and may not believe in God the way he does. And so, I don't know, that doesn't seem like non-negotiables worth not having a child. I would think you would grow up in a home where you have those conversations, but anyway.